Hi, America. It's come to my attention that a lot of people are confused about political ideology, so I'm going to break it down in very simple language with no political jargon. The furthest to the right you can go is fascism. The furthest to the left you can go is anarchism and communism. Most people fall somewhere in the middle. Fascism and anarchism and communism are on opposite sides of the political spectrum. That means that horseshoe theory, the idea that the further you go in either direction, the more you end up like the opposite, is a lot of horse shit. To summarize, people on the left believe that since none of us asked to be born, and there's enough resources on the planet for everyone should have what we need to survive. Things like food, shelter, healthcare, and power, having a say over our own lives and what happens to the planet. People on the right believe that some people are inherently better than others, and those people deserve to have all the money, all the resources, all the power, and all the control over what happens to everybody else. Right-wing ideology is inherently hierarchical, and left-wing ideology is inherently non-hierarchical. When you go all the way to the right, to fascism, you notice that it's just layers upon layers of hierarchies, resulting in a very tiny portion of the population that's considered worthwhile. People sometimes forget that Adolf tried to eliminate all the groups that he thought of as inferior, such as the disabled, the Roma, queer people of color living in Germany, as well as the Jews. And he even had a superior group within his superior Aryan race, the straight, white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired man. The left, on the other hand, doesn't believe in the superiority of any one group over another. Leftists seek collaboration for the benefit of the whole, as opposed to domination and subjugation for the benefit of a very few. Basically, people on the right are either-or people, and people on the left are both-and people. People on the right say there's only one truth and I have it, so fuck anybody who doesn't want to believe or live like I do. People on the left say more than one thing can be true, so let's approach situations with some nuance. People on the right say, well, if we're in a hetero relationship and I'm the man, I dominate and I lead, and you're the woman, so you submit and you follow. People on the left say, why don't we try to be equals in this relationship? People on the right say, my culture is superior, therefore I deserve to demolish yours and either wipe you out or assimilate you and take everything you have. People on the left say, my culture is awesome, and so is yours, and yours, and yours, and yours. People on the right say you're either a man or a woman. People on the left say, my gender is valid and so is yours. People on the right say it's a dog-eat-dog world. Either I get the resources or you do, so fuck you, I'm gonna get mine. People on the left say there's enough for everybody. We could both have our needs met. So if you want to find out where you fall on this political spectrum, ask yourself these questions. And when you answer them, give the real answer that's in your heart, not what you think you should say. Do you think that it makes you inherently superior to be a white person as opposed to a non-white person? Do you think it makes you superior to be a man rather than a woman? Do you think rich people are inherently superior to poor people? If you're able-bodied, do you think that makes you superior to a person who's disabled? Do you think it's better to be straight than gay? Do you think it's better to be cisgender than transgender? If you're skinny, are you inherently superior to fat people? If you work a cushy office job, does that make you inherently superior to the person flipping burgers, the person who collects your trash, or the person who is a schmex worker? Does being born in the US make you superior to people in other countries? If you're Catholic, does that make you superior to a Muslim? The more of these ideas you hold about your own or others' superiority, the more you align with the right wing. And every time you try to deny someone what we all need, things like resources, shelter, agency, and dignity, you take a step to the right. And we all know where that ends up. So ask yourself, is that really what you want to do? So now we need to talk about capitalism a little bit. Politics just refers to who has the power in that society. So for example, in a monarchy, the monarch, the king or the queen, has the power. In a democracy, we the people are supposed to have the power. We vote for people every 2 or 4 years and they're supposed to run the country in our benefit. But I think we all know that that's not true, and we don't have shit for power because we now live in a plutocracy. The problem in America is that we've collapsed our political system, democracy, and our economic system, capitalism. Only the extremely wealthy have an actual say in how the country is run, and only the very rich have true freedom. Our government and capitalism being collapsed together makes every single aspect of our lives worse because capitalism makes everything worse. Capitalism makes everything worse? I can tell you think I'm exaggerating. So let me give you some examples. Why is climate change probably going to kill us all? Because big oil knew about it in the 70s and buried that info so they could keep getting richer. Why is there a Texas-sized island of plastic garbage in the ocean, and why are our bodies all full of microplastics? Again, they knew plastic wasn't recyclable but told us that it was so they could keep making money. Why can't you swim in any rivers downstream from any industrial areas? Because factories have been dumping toxic waste in there since the early 1900s because it was cheaper than getting rid of it properly? Why aren't there any high-paying factory jobs anymore? Because companies sent them overseas for cheaper labors to increase their profits? Why do so many Americans hate immigrants? Because they're worried about them taking our jobs and limited resources? Why are so many elderly and diabetic people dying when they have to ration drugs that cost pennies to make but hundreds to buy? Why are we producing enough food to feed everyone, but businesses would rather throw it away and let people starve? Why does all the music on the radio sound the same now? Why do all the movies suck now? The same copy-paste bullshit over and over and over again. Why'd your dog die from toxins in his dog food? Why'd your aunt get cancer from baby powder, and then when she won a class action lawsuit, they just created a shell company that went bankrupt so that they wouldn't have to pay up? Why are all our products getting shittier and breaking after 6 months or a year? Planned obsolescence? Why are we constantly at war with other countries? Why is all of our infrastructure falling apart and creating forest fires and ecological disasters because companies would rather keep profits than do maintenance? Why is TikTok about to get banned? All of this shit happens because corporations lobby the government to change the rules so that they can get richer, and then the government looks the other way when they inevitably fuck up and fuck all of us over. So when people talk about ideas like socialism, all that means is that the people who are actually working in the factory and live in that area are the ones running things instead of the CEO. Socialism is just bringing democracy to the workplace. So say, for example, you worked in a factory. All of the people in that factory would vote on who the head manager is, and if that person ended up sucking at their job, they could be voted out. If you and all your coworkers owned and made decisions for that factory, you could run it in the most efficient way, rather than some person on the other side of the country making decisions who doesn't actually understand how things work. If you and your colleagues were the ones making decisions, would you choose to send your own jobs overseas? Would you choose to lay off half the workforce, people in your community, and make double the work for yourself? Would you choose to dump toxic waste into the river that your kids swim in or where you get your drinking water from? People on the left want to give all the power to all the people rather than the very few. Some people think that leftists are just being silly and utopian and that it could never work because people are inherently selfish. And that's false.
False.
First, a society that encourages us to be selfish to survive and rewards the most selfish of us who've shown themselves to care the least about people is, of course, going to create selfish people. Second, leftist ideology isn't just some pie-in-the-sky fantasy about altruism. For each of us, the best way to make sure that we are safe is to make sure our neighbor has what he needs to survive as well. Very few people want to be criminals and risk getting hurt or going to prison. Nobody's going to break into your house to steal your TV to sell it to make their rent if they don't have to do that. So meeting everyone's basic needs is just a way to make the world safer for all of us. So in conclusion, some people are working to make an even playing field for everyone, and some people are working to take everything for themselves. And a lot of history has been a struggle, a game of tug-of-war between these two forces. But what we're experiencing right now is a lot like the game Monopoly. And there's only two ways for that game to end. One person destroys everyone and takes everything for themselves, or everyone else gets fed up and flips the table.